All right, I hope everybody is having a good time. In the interest of keeping us on schedule, I'm going to go ahead and begin our program. For those of you who have not finished eating, please continue. The food is delicious, by the way, to our cooks over there, our chefs over there. On behalf of the State Chamber AIA, it's my pleasure to welcome you again to this year's awards luncheon. The State Chamber AIA is delighted to again serve as host for this annual event. This year's luncheon is being held in conjunction, as many of you know, with the Arkansas Procurement Opportunities Conference, which I believe was started with the instigation and help of former Congressman Vic Snyder, who's over at one of our tables over here. Vic, good to see you. We'll give you some applause. You're still popular, Vic. They didn't recognize you without your mustache there. The conference has been connecting small businesses to large opportunities via the matching of buyers and sellers of various goods and services. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the sponsors of the Arkansas Procurement Opportunities Conference, many of whom are here at the luncheon today. The procurement conference sponsors are Clean Line Energy Partners, Tyson Foods, Entergy Arkansas, the Arkansas Procurement Assistance Center, Aerojet Corporation, Central Arkansas Water, Verizon Wireless, U.S. Bank, the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, Bank of the Ozarks, Southern Bank Corp., and Securitas Security Services Incorporated. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to recognize participants on the program and other special guests who've joined us today, so hold your applause until they've all been introduced. Janie Barrera at our head table over here is going to be our guest speaker. You're going to hear a lot from her in just a minute. Linda Nelson, the Director of the U.S. Small Business Administration, and you've already met Carol Silverstrom, who gave us our invocation. Let's give them all a round of applause. And do we have any folks representing elected officials or our congressional delegation here today? I think I saw someone from Congressman Griffin's. Lots of folks here, so all right, got a whole table there. All right, thanks guys for being here. Anyone else? All right, thank you. To this year's winners, I want to say personally, congratulations. I follow what happens in the business arena all the time. A huge focus on what happens with small businesses in Arkansas. It's obviously the backbone of our economy. And I'm just very thrilled, as always, to be the host of this event year in and year out and see some of these success stories and watch some of them in the making. So your drive, your determination, what you do day in and day out, I know how hard it is, just very much salute you and compliment you for a job well done. Let's recognize the companies that have helped underwrite the cost of this year's event. You'll find their names in your program. I think that they may be on the screen over to the sides here too. Arkansas Capital Corporation Group, Comcast Business Class, Arkansas Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation, Arvest Bank, CenterPoint Energy, Simmons First National Corporation, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Arkansas Manufacturing Solutions, and TC Print Solutions. Thank you for your support and sponsorship. And obviously we want to thank the State Chamber and the AIA for their coordination and sponsorship of this event. Would not be possible without you guys. At this time, I'm going to introduce today's guest speaker, Janie Barrera, the founding president and chief executive officer of Axion Texas Incorporated. Created in 1994, Axion Texas has become the largest nonprofit micro-lending organization in the U.S. and provides small loans and management training to enterprises throughout multiple states, including Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Kentucky. The San Antonio Business Journal listed Ms. Barrera as one of 20 defining players of people who have helped shape the city of San Antonio. She's also served on many national, state, and local boards, including the Federal Reserve Board's National Consumer Advisory Council. Most recently, she was appointed by President Obama to serve on the President's Advisory Council on Financial Capability and is a board member of the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank San Antonio branch. Let's give a warm welcome to Janie Barrera. Janie?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to come and speak today. Obviously, Axion and the work that we do is very important to small business. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about what we do in terms of access to credit, which is our number one piece of work that we do, but we also provide some technical assistance. You know, you've heard that saying, you give somebody a fish and they eat for a day. You teach somebody how to fish. We have the first slide up there? Yeah. You teach someone how to fish and they eat for a lifetime. Well, in our work and what we do in economic development and community development is that we help people buy the pond in which they fish. So no longer are we just teaching, but actually people are creating assets. Because I believe that is how we break that cycle of poverty, is by owning something and being able to provide it to the next generation and create a legacy. So it's so interesting in terms of the way this organization started. As Roby said, I'm the first employee back in 1994. And when we first started, it was called Acción Texas because we thought, okay, we'll start in San Antonio and grow to different areas in the state. Little did I know, fast forward 18 years later, we would be in 8 states now with the largest portfolio in the United States, almost $30 million in the outstanding portfolio, and about $112 million is what we've dispersed. So what that means is that even though 100% of our customers, our borrowers, are considered high risk from the banks, we have a 95% repayment rate. And it's because we've learned how to mitigate that risk, right? Because our borrowers, our customers know that it's that pond in which they're going to be buying now that is going to be able to help them through the next part of their lives. So most of you will know about developing countries, right? And micro-lending there. Micro-lending in developing countries means $100, $50. And most of the time you hear the stories of, somebody goes and buys, mostly women, will buy themselves some chickens or cows and be able to sell those products. They're able then to pay off the loan and then provide for their families. So when you think of micro-lending here in the United States, what does that mean? Is it a $50 loan? Is it a $100 loan? Is it buying chickens and is it buying cows? Well, no. But what it is access to credit. It's being able to take that dream a step further. And so when this concept was brought to the United States back in the early 1990s, actually Arkansas was one of the first states that had a micro-lending program. The program started just like you do in Guatemala or in Mexico or in India, where you have a group of people that come together, they borrow money, they co-sign, if you will, for one another, and then eventually they pay it back. And if you can't pay that back, then we people in the group have to help you pay that back. And so it's been working very well. It's been around in developing countries for 50 years. But for those reasons that you see on the screen, micro-lending in the United States has never reached scale, meaning that 100% of your expenses are paid by the revenue off the portfolio. Not one micro-lending organization in the United States. In developing countries, because of the reasons on those screens, it happens within 3 to 5 years. Because the cost of capital, even though you're providing loans at below market in developing countries, it's going to be 48%. I think we have things called usury laws here in the United States that we can't offer loans for businesses anyway at 48%. For some reason, I can't find loan officers in the United States to get paid $1,000 a year like they do in developing countries and work for Acción, except Russell, I almost got him to come on, but not quite. But you have to pay more for the cost of capital here in the United States. In developing countries, you either are or are not an entrepreneur, meaning that there is no middle class. And so those of you who've been to developing countries, you see somebody selling blouses or selling things on the street corner, and that's perfectly legal. You try to do that here in Little Rock, and you're going to be given a fine, right? Because you need a permit to be able to do that. And so we have all these regulations in the United States, like getting certificate of occupancy and all. We have bankruptcies here. So for all these reasons, micro-lending had never reached scale. And so I want on my tombstone to say the first micro-lender in the United States to reach scale. So obviously we're only about 50%, 55%, so we're not quite there yet. I'm not ready to die. So we're still continuing to move forward on what we're trying to do. So the problem then is access to credit, right? The average credit score of one of our customers is 575. The cutoff at a bank is 680. So it doesn't make any difference if you're the best person in the whole world. Banks are regulated. As a not-profit organization, we are not regulated. However, we do have total transparency in terms of our financials. We are part of the Treasury's CDFI. We are a certified development financial institution. So we have to follow the regulations there. But still, it's a not-for-profit organization, so that we can be flexible. So the idea of how do you mitigate risk? Okay, we've been at this 18 years. How does that happen? Next slide. It happens by being innovative ourselves as a not-for-profit organization. We are a not-for-profit that runs like a business. So our loan officers, and I'm going to introduce Russell in just a minute, are incentivized. It's wonderful that they have the mission of being able to work here at Acción, but it's also, they have to get out on the street and make loans. They can't wait for people to come in. He's got goals every single month that he has to go and put out on the street. And so the reason we do that is because we don't want it to be an excuse, oh, we can't find people. No, no, no. There are people out there that need this, need the dollars, the access to credit, and so we're able to incentivize our loan officers. The other thing we've learned, I think in the very first 12 years of our existence, was that we were in the laboratory stage. What works and what doesn't work. Some of the lessons learned were like, don't take livestock as collateral. Because down in the colonias in South Texas, this woman, and they're not regulated down in South Texas in the colonias. It's unregulated areas, no zoning or anything like that. And so the woman had her home, and then in the front part of her home, she had her restaurant, and grazing in her yard were her goats. And so she had that as a value, and something of value to her. So we took her goats as collateral. I went to visit her a couple of months later, and guess what? There were no goats. I asked her, where are the goats? Well, we fed them. We had on the menu last week for lunch. So we then learned, okay, no more livestock for collateral. Actually, a few months ago, I passed by one of our loan officers' computers. On the screen, she had a picture of a goat, because we have to go out and take pictures of the collateral that we do accept. And so I went by her computer and I said, Alma, what's a goat doing on your screen there? You know we don't take livestock. She goes, oh, no, no, no. It's not the goat. It's the land that we're taking as collateral, the field. And I said, okay, great. Well, what kind of business is this? Well, the man buys goats, and he has a contract with the state parks, and he corrals them, the goats in the state park, and they eat, and they do their business, and then he moves the corral to another place of the park. And so that is a green industry that we've produced there in South Texas. So these are the kinds of lessons learned. The other thing that we lesson learned is that you have to have skin in the game. The borrower has to have skin in the game, or they're not going to pay you back. So what does that mean? For instance, we thought Mary Kay, wonderful. For $600, we can go and lend this woman $600. She buys herself a kit. She goes out and sells Mary Kay, and she becomes her own entrepreneur, her own businesswoman, is able to, provide for her family. Well, we also took the $600 and the Mary Kay Cosmetics as the collateral. The woman didn't have to put anything in terms of putting skin in the game. You know how hard it is to go collect lipsticks? Very difficult. So we decided no more of those things either. You have to bring something to the table that is of value. So our collateral are things that are of value to that person, like a car that may not have blue book value, but it runs. And that's the way you get the children to school and you to work. We're going to take that as collateral. A brooch that grandma gave you, it's worth something to you. You're not going to lose that over a $2,000 loan. I'm going to want to pay you back. So we have things that we put that the customer brings to us that has the value. So the bottom line there on that screen says that we've streamlined the loan process, just the essentials. What that means is that before, we were asking our customers to bring in all this information, and maybe we would be able to help them, and now, or maybe not. And so what we've done now is that streamlined it. Remember, because of the first 12 years of being in the laboratory stage, we've learned what works and what doesn't work. So the next slide, please, is that that's how we've been able to then jump borders, right? I mean, by using technology. So that we have T1 lines. Our headquarters is based in San Antonio, but we have our individual offices, our satellite offices throughout our footprint, and you can see that there. And so in some cases, they're the loan officers, and in this case, actually here in Little Rock, Russell is an LONE officer, because right now he's the only one here. So we are about to, though, hire a loan processor as well, so that we can complement the work that the loan officer needs to do. Loan officer goes out and is out with the public, helping them fill out the application. Loan processor is back in the office trying to make sure that the phones are being answered. So the technology piece of it is very important to us. Instead of creating separate 501c3 nonprofit organizations in all those cities that you see, we've kept one 501c3. You don't have to go and hire another me. You don't have to go and hire another HR or collections or underwriting or processing. It's all done in San Antonio. And the real people that do the work are the people out in the field, right? The LOAN officers. They're out there doing the work that needs to be done. And so that's how we've been able to expand so quickly. In 1998, we opened up our first satellite office. And I'm happy to report that we've opened up our Little Rock office and West Helena office just this past fall. Next slide, please. So Russell Hampton, please stand, is our loan officer here. He is located in North Little Rock, and he has plenty of business cards to pass out to you so that we can continue to do business. To date, he's already put out almost $100,000 here in Little Rock. All small loans. The average loan size probably right now is around $10,000 or $12,000 in the Arkansas area. Next slide, please. I'm going to quickly go through the customers to give you a flavor of who they are. And by the way, I didn't underscore the loan amounts. Even though we are seen as a micro lender, we also are a small business lender. Through the help of SBA, we've been able to we are also a 7A community lender. So we make loans from $500 up to $250,000. The microloan portion is $50,000 and under. But if you are a small business person that needs that working capital that can't get a loan from the bank right now, and right now it's pretty tough because, again, the pendulum is swinging, right? First the pendulum was over here, everybody's lending, then all of a sudden, it changes this way, and now we're trying to get it back to the middle where the banks are able to be more comfortable in lending. So we've always been in the bell curve, right? I mean, Accion has always been the one right in the middle trying to say no and yes and maybes, and keep the maybes at a bigger number because that way we can be able to see more people. So quickly, I'd like to share with you some of the success stories, if you will. Arga is in Houston, and she wanted healthy foods in her neighborhood. You know, it's kind of hard to get Whole Foods to go into poor neighborhoods. And so she decided she would start her own. And so she has now a company called Sunfired Foods. Not only does she provide healthy foods in her grocery, but she's also created a deli where she's got a great lunch menu that can come in and get everything that's vegan, and once in a while she'll put a piece of meat on there, but it's mostly vegan stuff that she's offering her community. Next slide, which is Kevin. Kevin is in Austin, and you all have seen those bouncy things that the kids play on and for birthday parties and all that. He started out with a $10,000 loan and then came and then asked for a $12,000 loan. And now he's about to hit $250,000 in sales just from these little rental pieces that he has available in Austin. Our next client is Bernard, with Bernard Creole's Kitchen. He's based in San Antonio, and he is a Katrina victim. He came from New Orleans and knew how to cook a great gumbo. And so he thought, you know, I'm going to see if I can make this thing work here there in San Antonio. And so he not only is he helping his own family, but he's actually helping the whole community. The other day, one of the last slides I'll show you is one of our customers who's actually donated back. But I want to tell a story about Bernard in a minute when I talk about donating back. The next slide is Maria Luisa. She is in Dallas, and she has a sports equipment place. And so she wanted to be able to provide a small business service that helped the kids in the neighborhood. She saw the kids having a lot of time on their hands, and she said, soccer is a big deal in this community. How about if I were to be able to provide the equipment that they need to keep them off the street? So it was a win-win situation. You know, you've heard about that double bottom line. Well, of course, in this situation, it's been a double bottom line for her because she's not only helping the community, but she's helping herself because she's got a thriving business. The next customer is Cynthia Nevels. 15 years ago, she took out a loan with Accion because she wanted to teach financial literacy to young people. She believed that she needed to start in the elementary schools to teach young people how to keep their FICO scores in check. You know, all of us, we have a problem. We're run right by our FICO score. Our whole lives are run by our FICO score. And a lot of people don't realize that. So one of the things we keep stressing even to our business owners is that, you know, you may have a good deal with that cell phone that you've got right now, and you think you're going to get a better deal if you break that contract because they're charging $10 less. Don't do it. Every time you're breaking that contract, your FICO score is going down. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I've got to remind you all that, tell the young people in your life as well. Every time they go out and get a lease on their apartment and then they see across the street free rent for a month, they break the lease on their apartment, what happens? Credit score goes down. So I'm just reminding you of those stories so that you can help people keep that pristine credit score. So Cynthia Nevels saw that need and continued to do that. Now Cynthia, if you can go to cynthianevels.com, she's got a radio show that she produces now nationally on these things where she has people come on and it's syndicated on her website. And then Claudia is also in Dallas, and she's Colombian, and she came to the United States not with bad credit, but with no credit, right? I mean, when you come and there's no history, what are you going to do? So she wanted to have her translation service, and she started out with a $13,000 loan, and now it has almost earnings of $2 million, and has over 60 freelance folks that work for her. And as I get to the last example of Michelle Mata, this is where I wanted to bring the fact that it's that gift that keeps on giving, because they see that the help that they've received from Accion is so beneficial, they're willing to put their money where their mouth is as well. And so they've actually donated. So Michelle was the first one to donate. Bernard got this great opportunity of having a catering event happen where he had about 1,300 people that he catered for. And he was so excited, and he came because of a direct result of an Accion presentation. And so he just was so excited. He called me on my cell phone on Saturday, and he says, this is what happened. I want to donate $1,000 to Accion. And so he did that. Not only did he donate, but he said, you know what, I want to invest. And so he's also invested $1,000, and he's getting 2% back on his money. So let me talk a little bit about investments. The next slide will show you all the people that actually do invest. And when I mean, in most nonprofits, when they say invest, they mean give, right? That you've donated. When I speak of investments, I'm speaking of true investment. Like the Episcopal Church has invested $500,000 and they get a return on their money. As I just said, Bernard has invested $1,000 and he's getting 2% back on his money. So we're able to take the investments as part of our business model and put that money out on the street. Now don't get me wrong, we also need grants, right? So for every dollar that we're able to receive in a grant, we're able then to leverage that and take out $3. And as I have this slide up there, you'll see SBA. You know, Linda Nelson called a few years ago and said, you know, have you ever thought about expanding outside of Texas? I've noticed that you've gone to Louisiana already because that was the first state we've gone to. Will you come to Arkansas? And I said, well, we can talk about it. So she assigned that to Chuck Davis to see about how can that be done. I'm sure most of you in this room know Chuck. And he's a dog that doesn't quit. I mean, he holds on to you, bites you, and then doesn't let go. And so for the last 18 months or so, it's been doesn't let go. And so it's because of Chuck and Linda that we're here in Arkansas, because it takes those partnerships to be able to get, to be able to grow the portfolios. Most of the way we actually grow into different areas is because we raise the money first, and then we're able to do the work in that particular city. At the end of 2010, I got a phone call from Chase Bank in New York and said, what would you do if we gave you $5 million grant? Well, besides crying and falling off my chair, I said, well, you would expand. I mean, we'd go to different places. And so that's when I asked our board, could we then change our policy? Can we go out and look at areas that are truly poor, that truly would benefit from the work that we do, and change that model a bit? So, Lori, the next slide, please. So they said, okay. So that donation that came in is that value proposition, because it's a gift that keeps on giving. Because every dollar that we get and we put out on the street, the customer knows that. And that's one of the reasons I think that we have a 95% repayment rate, is because I do that Catholic guilt with them, that if you don't pay us back, you're not only hurting yourself, but you're also hurting the next borrower, because you've taken that money. And we're not going to be able then to help the next person because that money's not available to us. So the importance of the fact that the dollars that are invested and granted in Acción is that, next slide please, the gift that keeps on giving. Because we have, if you think about an organization like ours, we are a financial institution without depositors. We're not a bank, right? So banks use our deposits to make loans, or they borrow money from the Federal Reserve to make loans. But it's their money, right, that they're able to use, put out into the marketplace and bring it back in and pay us interest and so on. We're a financial institution without borrowers, without depositors. So we have to rely on that grant or that investment to be able to do that. So if you think about it, we have a loan loss reserve that we do just like banks do and so on. So that's part of the way that we're able to create our business model, is investments, grants that come in for operations, and grants that come in for the loan pool, that loan pool that keeps on giving. So loans is not the only thing we do. On the next slide, you will see that we also provide technical assistance. What we have found is that you've got to do the wraparound approach with small businesses. Those of you that are in the audience that do like Alt Consulting, we partner with Alt, who does the technical assistance piece here. SCORE is able to provide that technical assistance, because small businesses need that mentoring, not only the cash, but also the best practices, right? And so through the technical assistance that we're able to provide, it's not only safety of capital for the small business, but guess what? It's safety of capital for the not-for-profit, because that means we're assured, hopefully, that we're going to get paid back. So next slide, we'll talk about the whole rippling. I go back to the beginning of the fact that it said, when we started talking about you give somebody a fish, they eat for a day. You teach somebody how to fish, they eat for a lifetime. What we do in our work is that we help people buy the pond in which they fish. And so that's where that rippling effect comes, right? That's where the idea that we are able to leave it to the next generation. And in closing, I would just like to give you a summary then of what we are. We're a social and we have our social and economic mission. We started out back in 1994 with a $50,000 grant for operations and $125,000 in a loan pool for lending. And then it was me, and I hired a couple of folks. And now we have, now we are the largest microlender with a portfolio in the United States. We have over 100 employees, and we've made about 12,000 loans. So we had very modest beginnings, like many of us here in this room, right, as we were growing up. Our constraint is not necessarily customers, but capital. We've proven that the business best practices works in a not-for-profit world, that we can do that double bottom line, and in some cases the triple bottom line, because we bring in that green economy as well. And we're always trying to be the lowest cost producer to make these loans. So much so that, you know how I was saying that we are that we've learned how to mitigate risk, and we've created a way of growing. We also share that with 12 other nonprofits across the country. So we're actually underwriting loans under our proprietary software system in Chicago, New York, and California. And to the customer, it's transparent. They don't even know it's happening. And we're always looking for strategic partners. So I'm hoping that next year, when we're invited and Russell has a booth out there, that the people that were on your slides that were up here being, that we were grateful for the sponsorship and also the support to this event, we can add them to our slide that is that I had up there before. So I'm hoping that I'll talk to some of these energy groups that I see out there in the audience a little bit later. So the last slide, or second to last slide, is our contact information slide, I want to close with the idea that credit comes from the Latin verb to believe. So it's a play on words. You know, we provide credit, access to capital, but we also give credit to our borrowers, and I think that's why we have become the largest microlender with that great repayment rate, is because the borrower gives credit to us by giving them that technical assistance and access to loans that they need. So to tell the story even more, I want to tell it in the voice of our borrowers. So I understand our technical assistance back there is going to show a very short clip on the work that we do. I'm Janie Barrera, and I'm President and CEO of Acción Texas. The mission of Acción Texas is to provide working capital to a small business person who's not able to acquire that capital from the banks. As a not-for-profit organization, we are able to be a little bit more flexible in the criteria that we require for small businesses to get a loan from us. Acción Texas is a micro-lender and a small business lender. We lend money from $500 up to $100,000, and that's our micro-lending piece. And then the larger loans up to $250,000 we call our small business loans.
As a business owner, it's pretty exciting because, again, nobody's lending you any money. Banks are saying, they're saying that the money's there, that they've got small business opportunities.
Very few people can actually go in and walk into a regular bank and get a business loan.
We decided to go pursue micro financing because we didn't have success getting funding through the traditional routes.
The other lines of credit that we've been able to leverage would never have occurred had Acción not stepped in and said, we'll take the chance with you.
The process was fairly easy. We filled out the application online. They contacted us and told us basically what we needed to provide.
They asked us to put together a business plan and our idea and an application for a loan.
I never once felt uncomfortable or felt that Acción was reluctant about working with our organization.
Here at Acción Texas, we not only provide the access to capital for entrepreneurs, but we also provide the technical assistance piece that supports the entrepreneurs.
Acción has been amazing in the help that they've given us financially, as well as giving us information and support as a growing business.
From Acción, we get a lot of support by trying to get us out there and getting people to know where we are and who we are, to connect with other businesses and other customers.
It really is a help for a small business that really can't go out and find that coach or find that training to help us, and Acción has been there for us.
They understand small business development.
This was our dream, and it was something we weren't going to give up on.
To be an entrepreneur means to me fulfilling a dream, and that's why we're here.
The commonalities that I see in our clients is a thread of perseverance and tenacity. Somebody who really enjoys what they do. Someone who can see making a difference and seeing that rippling effect.
We hire an employee every 3 months, and we've been doing that for 2.5 years now. We take a lot of pride in that.
When you accomplish one of your dreams, a big dream, then it seems like nothing's out of reach from there.
Because of the funds that we got from Acción to start this business, we were able to hire several people, 2 full-time folks as well as 2 part-time jobs that were created through this process.
Acción was there for us at a time when we just really needed that extra push to get over.
There's that saying, you give somebody a fish, they eat for a day. You teach somebody how to fish and they eat for a lifetime. But what we do in our work is that we help people buy the pond in which they fish. So now they're able to have assets and grow and give something to the next generation. We know how to lend the money and we know how to get it paid back because our customers really believe in their own business and they also believe in Acción Texas. All right, so now you know that we're here to help and that Russell is here to help. And we want to celebrate the fact that we're great partners in this together. And I would like to congratulate the award winners for today. It's always wonderful to see these companies that are able to change not only the lives of their own employees, but to change the economic life of here of Little Rock. So thank you very much.
Linda, would you like to come up here? Well, let's reward some of our tenacious entrepreneurs with some picture taking and maybe hand them some pieces of metal, maybe? What are these made of? Wood, metal, all of this good stuff here. All right, let's start with our first award is the Veteran Small Business Champion Award. When I start to mention these awards, if I mention your name, if you'll start making your way up here, we'll save our applause for when we hand the award over. Our Veteran Small Business Champion, nominated by the Arkansas District Office 8A Business Development Division, Carol Silverstrom and Wanda May. This year's Veteran Small Business Champion winner is Johnny Dillard, President of Central Research Incorporated of Lowell. Johnny Dillard is a service-disabled veteran. He's been an active participant in SBA's 8A Business Development Program since 2007. Central Research is a people information research firm whose employees are primarily veterans and disabled veterans. Johnny's activities on behalf of veterans are numerous. Most outstanding, in 2010, Johnny helped draft 2 bills that were passed and signed into law by Arkansas Governor Mike Beebe in April of 2011. Act 882 gives all state agencies a 5% goal for doing business with service-disabled veterans, and Act 883 adds service-disabled veterans to the definition of minority under the Minority Business Economic Development Act. Johnny, congratulations.
Thank you, ladies.
Our Financial Services Champion is nominated by Arkansas Capital Corporation and Al Hodge. Michael Fasulo, Vice President, Business Development Officer of Arkansas Capital Corporation in Jonesboro. In the 4.5 years that Michael has been with Arkansas Capital Corporation, he's underwritten and closed nearly $30 million in SBA loans to approximately 40 small business owners, creating and preserving numerous jobs. His performance has been exemplary and has motivated his fellow workers. Michael has also assisted businesses by referring them to the local Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center and/or ALT Consulting for technical assistance. These partnerships have proven to be essential for the success of many small businesses. Michael, congratulations. The Arkansas SCORE District Chapter of the Year is the Little Rock SCORE program. I imagine we'll be seeing Jim Sadler make his way up here. The Arkansas SCORE District Chapter of the Year in 2011, the Little Rock SCORE program completed 1,537 client counseling cases and held 64 client workshops with over 1,300 attendees. During 2011, Little Rock SCORE completed 76% of all client counseling, 95% of all client workshops, and had 97% of the workshop attendees for the entire state of Arkansas. I would say you've been busy, Jim. Congratulations. The champions of youth entrepreneurship, nominated by Linda Nelson, are Matthew and Maria Hampton of Elevate Entrepreneurship Systems in Little Rock. You guys make your way to the stage here. The Elevate Entrepreneurship Program develops community-wide systems to support youth entrepreneurship. This system produces youth who actually develop real business enterprises. The system then works with community leaders to establish community education and promotions campaigns, showing communities how to create a sustainable system that encourages entrepreneurship among their children and youth. These systems help develop the entrepreneurial talents of communities, improve the workforce, enhance educational development among youth, engage youth who are disconnected and at risk, and provide an opportunity for the private sector to become involved in community and youth development activities. To the Hamptons, congratulations. Our top SBA lender for fiscal year 2011 is nominated by Linda Nelson, is Arvest Bank. Jackie Randall, Senior Vice President from Stillwater, Oklahoma, SBA Loan Administrator. Arvest Bank was the top Arkansas lender in both volume and dollars for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2011, with 76 loans totaling $42 million. This is an increase of 52% in loan volume and 5 times higher in total dollar amount compared with the previous year. Arvest and Jackie, congratulations. The District Director's Award for Entrepreneurial Leader in Education, also nominated by Linda, is Dr. Don Bradley, Executive Director of the Small Business Advancement National Center at the University of Central Arkansas in Conway. In 1990, Don founded the Small Business Advancement National Center. Since its inception, the SBA has evolved into a multifaceted entrepreneurial and small business counseling and electronic resource, promoting the entrepreneurial spirit. This is accomplished through counseling, education, and training. Don works closely with the SBA on the district, regional, and national levels. He was selected as the SBA Veteran Small Business Advocate of the Year at the district and regional levels. He also was honored as the Arkansas Small Business Journalist of the Year. Don is also a member of the Little Rock SCORE chapter. Don, congratulations. I'm going to ask Janet Roderick to come up to the stage from the Arkansas Small Business Technology and Development Center, ASBTDC. All right. Our National Small Business Development Center Counselor of the Year, nominated by Linda Nelson also, is Kelly Massey of the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center at Henderson State University in Arkadelphia. Kelly's going to get embarrassed here, I think. So, Kelly was named the National Small Business Development Center Counselor of the Year by the U.S. Small Business Administration and will be honored May 21st in Washington, D.C. during National Small Business Week. He serves as the Center Director for the ASBTDC's Henderson State University office. He joined the organization in 2008 as a business consultant and was promoted to the Center Director role in 2010. He assists new ventures and established businesses in the Center's 10-county service area with business planning, financial acquisition assistance, market research, market assistance, growth strategies, financial analysis, financial projections, and human resource management advice. He also instructs training programs and coordinates student-faculty projects with small business clients and manages the Henderson State Center's day-to-day operations. From 2009 to 2011, Kelly provided 2,286 consulting hours on 388 small business cases, assisting with 65 capital projects, resulting in client capital acquisition of nearly $23 million. Kelly, congratulations. All right, I'm going to invite Robert Franke with Comcast Business Class to come up to help with this next award. The Jeffrey Butland Family-Owned Business of the Year. This year's winner is nominated by Jody Kibler of Medic One Ambulance. It is Construction Network Incorporated of Jonesboro. Construction Network is owned by the Stem and Kibler families. It is a full-service regional contractor providing superior construction knowledge and craftsmanship. They have translated their family values and ethics into their family-owned businesses, guiding each generation to obtain education and life experiences that translate into community service and eventually into lifetime careers. This family business has grown from $1.5 million as George Stem Construction to $7 million as Builders of Jonesboro to $20 million annually as Construction Network. Construction Network takes great pride in the part that they've played in helping to grow and build in Northeast Arkansas. And as I mentioned earlier, Robert Franke of Comcast Business Class is assisting with this. Congratulations. Our Small Business Person of the Year runner-up, nominated by Carissa Noriega. This year it goes to Martha Moore, president of McCormick Asphalt Paving and Excavating in Little Rock. Ed McCormick and his family started this business in their dining room in 1990. The company's initial equipment consisted of a dump truck, a backhoe, a couple of used rollers, and a paving machine, and some duct tape, I would imagine. Ownership was originally held by several family members, but it was Martha Moore, Ed's daughter, who developed the skills and expertise to take over as 100% owner. Under her leadership, the company has expanded its works and now operates in a 6-state area. Martha will graduate from SBA's 8A Business Development Program this December. Martha, congratulations. I'm going to invite Jay Wisner with Arkansas Capital Corporation to come to the stage for our next presentation. Our Small Business Persons of the Year. This is a team category nominated by Shung Tan, Manager for Economic Development at the Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce. This year's award winner is Arkansas Power Electronics International, APEI, out of Fayetteville. They are represented by Dr. Alexander Lostetter, President and CEO, Jared Hornberger, Director of Manufacturing, Sharmila Mounts, Business Operations Manager, and Dr. Marcelo Schubach, Chief Technology Officer. And I get an A+ for getting all those names right. APEI's core business is to develop, manufacture, and market state-of-the-art technology in high-performance, high-power density, and extreme environment power electronic systems. APEI's research and development in the field of silicon carbide electronic solutions has attracted the interest of numerous major international business organizations. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce recently named APEI as one of the top 75 small businesses in the nation. The company was also a Category 2 finalist for Arkansas Business's 2012 Arkansas Business of the Year. Presenting the award to APEI is Jay Wisner, Executive Vice President of Arkansas Capital Corporation. Congratulations to you all, and I believe we will hand the podium over for a few comments. Who wants to speak?
Okay, they told me I didn't have to say anything, but this is just a great honor, and I just want to thank everybody that's been involved with our company, especially the folks standing up here. And there were so many people involved in our company, our employees, that have made us great and have contributed to what we've done so far. We hope to do a lot more, and I wish I could have brought everybody down, but for you guys, thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our program today. Again, thanks to all of you for participating in this event. Congratulations to all of our winners, and we will see you again next year.